Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
All right, well, welcome aboard, everybody, to this version of Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. This is Gary Wilson. I'm glad you're here to hear another podcast. Got a special guest, Vince Parrucci, who I'll introduce here in a moment, but just a quick kind of reminder of what this is all about. First off is we do have a great community being developed across the U.S. and Canada, and you're certainly welcome to be part of it. We are generally all professionals in our own fields: engineering, accountant, nursing, chiropractors, dentists, you name it. Nothing wrong with anybody else. We're not saying that. But by the way, a lot of business owners are part of this group too. And the reason is a lot of us have joined other real estate investment clubs and maybe weren't completely thrilled because maybe they're doing all that, no money down owner financing, smoke and mirrors, Hail Mary pass type strategies, and wholesaling back and forth to each other. Is like, well, who's actually making money here? This is basically blocking and tackling. This is the fundamentals, the basics to build a solid foundation in real estate, cash flow and equity. Okay, that's what we're aiming for. Sometimes it means we use cash. Sometimes it means we use all cash. Doesn't mean we leave it there. We might buy a product with cash, fix it up, refinance it, rent it out, and profit and regain all of our capital, go out and do the same thing over again. Okay. But this is really, if you feel like you're a professionally minded person and you look at investing as a business because it is, then you come to the right place. We also take responsibility for the communities we invest in. We're looking to improve because the better we do, the better the community does. The better the community does, the better we do. It's kind of a natural phenomenon. And also, I will tell you this, if you do have a business, a lot of people struggle with, how do I have the time and the money to do this? I know what that's like because I have a business. I've had several businesses, but I can tell you this, you can get a business loan against your business, and as long as the proceeds from that loan are used for business purposes, it's legitimate. So you can easily form an LLC. Your current service business or practice, whatever you have, would get a loan. You would get a loan against that practice, loan the proceeds to your other LLC, that LLC goes and buys the investment properties, okay? That's not only a good thing to do, it's also a really good thing to do for a lot of other reasons. Separation of assets and service businesses from income-producing assets, all those things, which we'll talk about in future podcasts. But for right now, I want to introduce you to Vince Parrucci. He and I have known each other for probably 16 years now, I'm guessing, or somewhere close to it. We used to teach together. We've invested together. I admire him. He's an accountant by trade, and he's from the city of Champions. So instead of me telling everybody about you, Vince, why don't you tell these folks yourself who you are, and we'll just kind of kick things off from there. Does that sound cool?
Sure. My name's Vince Parrucci. I born and raised in, as Gary said, the city of Champions, which is the city of Pittsburgh, in case you don't know. I am currently a realtor, real estate agent. I've been investing in real estate for the last 20 years, but my background, I started out in corporate America in auditing and accounting and eventually into banking. And during the course of that, I just started dabbling in real estate, and it kind of took off from there.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, if you could do me a favor, elaborate a little bit on the what. Like what were you, what was it you were doing in the corporate world? And then what did you start doing initially in the investing world? Because there might be something, like what I'm getting at is, you might be something that you learned in the corporate world. It may have been a behavioral pattern, the way you think, that helped you in the investing world. In other words, you were able to transfer those skills and leverage them in the investing world. So we're kind of looking for the what, so people can see that bridge between corporate job and investing,
Well, I mean, again, my background, I started out as an auditor for one of the big 6 accounting firms way back then. And I was hired off the engagement by a bank as a control compliance person in the banking industry. So my personality, I was ultra conservative. But one of the things that I've always wanted to do, I've always wanted to invest in real estate. And to be honest with you, it took me 17 years to get over the fear of not knowing, what to do, how to do it, and all the details. And I just, one day, because I knew people made money buying and selling real estate and investing in real estate. And one day I got tired of dreaming. I said, I'm going to do something. And I just went out and I bought a house, and one of the things that I learned was that after I started buying 2, 3, 4, 5 properties, and I had several $100,000 worth of real estate, that no one would ever lend me that money to buy stock. This is one of the few assets that someone could actually acquire that you can actually leverage to a certain degree with someone else's money. And it just amazed me.
Yeah. Now, did you put down a down payment, Vince, and then get like a traditional commercial or conventional mortgage from a traditional bank, or what was some of your early strategies?
Well, I had a very small dollar amount to work with, which was simply a $20,000 line of credit, and the first house I bought was $19,000, and it was just something that I had to look and find a super deal to get my first deal done.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I had held on to that and made some repairs to it, I was able to get it refinanced and pull some money out. And then I had extra money to put down on my second property. And I kind of did the same thing where I bought properties below value because they needed a lot of repairs. And I was able to refinance them, get some equity, and then buy another property.
Yeah. And you generally kept them, right? You kept them after you remodeled and refinanced and rented them out?
Yeah. Probably for the first 7 or 8 years, all I did was buy rentals. And it wasn't until midway through my investing career that I started doing flips. But I was always big on buying, holding, because I like collecting things. I was collecting houses and I was collecting rent checks. Everyone gets caught up on a flip. It's great. You sell a house, you make $35,000. But once you sell that $200,000 asset, that's gone. You have $35,000 you put in your pocket. You're going to buy something with it or blow it on something, and it's gone. For me personally, I would rather keep the house and keep collecting the rent checks and have someone else pay the mortgage, have the house appreciate, and keep doing that. Flips are great, but to me, it was more about rentals.
Yeah, I agree. We actually call that the BRRRR method, BRRR, buy, remodel, rent, refinance. And to me, having the asset, and the income, I mean, it's a mathematical certainty. You're building an empire, I did the same thing, but there's so much we have in common. I didn't even realize that that you had done that for that many years. I did the same thing. All I did was accumulate rentals at first. That's all I wanted to do, and I saw people flipping, and I thought, well, it seems like a lot more risk there. I'm not against flipping. I've done a lot of flipping. But same thing, I think I had like 40-something units before I ever flipped my first house. And I'm glad I did, because I found out that like 1 out of every 3 flips doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. That's the statistic. And I'm thinking, man, if that had happened to me my first time out of the gate 30 years ago, I might never got back in investing, but I had a lot of rentals, and it wasn't my third one. There was one that kind of like broke even on a lot of work. Things got delayed, cost overruns, typical stuff. Economy was changing, interest rates were rising, and I just barely got out there with my skin in my shirt. Got broke even, and I remember thinking to myself, that's okay. I got all these rentals bringing all that money every month. Every morning, people wake up to go to work to pay me rent.
Problem you have, you see a lot of these flip this house and these shows on TV, and they really glamorize flipping. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a great tool and skill set to have, but if you're looking to build wealth, it's buy and hold. Because I tell people, I said, look, if you buy just 2 or 3 houses that are worth maybe $80,000 to $100,000 now, and you're making $300 or $400 a month on each place, imagine 15 years from now when those houses are paid for, and instead of them being worth $100,000, maybe they're worth $175,000 a piece now.
Yeah.
So here you have almost $600,000 in assets that's owned free and clear that someone else paid for.
Yep.
You can't beat it. You can't get that anywhere. If I went to the bank and said, hey, I need $600,000, I want to buy Apple stock, they'd laugh at me.
Yep.
I don't know any other asset that you can do this. Or I want to buy gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like flipping, but I love buying and holding. That's get rich slow.
It's it. Yeah. History I mean, success leaves clues, and history shows you those clues. And if we would all just read more books, take more courses, take more training, go to masterminds, what have you, all that becomes available to you. You get the benefit from the experience of hundreds and thousands of others who've gone before you. And it's not just the current day. And we're talking going back, several generations just in the U.S. I mean, people have been landlords for hundreds and thousands of years. But now we have the way to record it. We got not only books, but we got the internet, all kinds of, like this podcast. There's all kinds of things we can do to tap into the knowledge and experience of others like you yourself. So I appreciate you being here and doing this, because you're definitely, you're authentic, you're the real deal, and people are, I'm sure, picking up on that too. So, hey, if you could, Vince, you mentioned you're from Pittsburgh. Obviously, I knew that. But talk a little bit about with Pittsburgh market, because it's not just the city of Pittsburgh. It's a pretty broad area. I mean, we're talking about around 2 million people. And the where, I think, is really important, because a lot of people are concerned about, like in New York City, I can't invest here, it's way too expensive. Well, the fact is 2/3 of the people in New York City, amongst all 5 of the boroughs, rent. Two-thirds. That means 2/3 of the property are owned by investors. Somebody's buying them. But the fact is it's cheaper in places like Indianapolis and Buffalo and Detroit and, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So I'm sorry to ramble, but tell us a little bit about the where, and like, what did you do strategically to determine in the Pittsburgh area where specifically you chose to invest?
Well, when I got started years ago, I didn't know. And, one of the first mistakes I made, I bought in a war zone. And it wasn't until, my second or third house that I started figuring out, hey, I don't want to be in this area. And I started researching other areas and figured out this is where I want to be. And I slowly became experts in those markets that I started investing in and around the city of Pittsburgh. So, one of the things, Pittsburgh's a very good market because, we're always been steady, 2 to 3% appreciation in real estate each and every year. We've never really experienced those double-digit rapid home value appreciations in a year. Right. So when the real estate market crashed back in 2007, 2008, Pittsburgh was in its own little bubble where we didn't need to have a market correction because we were just steadily going along. So Pittsburgh's a very stable market to invest in. Granted, you have to know what areas you want to be in. Rentals opposed to flips. Stay away from the war zones, obviously. But one of the things that I tell my clients is that are looking to invest in real estate, it's the agent that you're working with is critical. Not only do they know the area, but you want to be working with an agent that wants to work with investors or has investing experience or is an investor themselves. I mean, think about this. I have 20 years of experience investing in real estate, just about every aspect of it. So if you have someone because you talked about reading books and going online and educating yourself, and that's great, but someone that can mentor you and coach you is even better. Yeah. So here you have, it's always good to learn from your mistakes. It's even better to learn from someone else's mistakes. Right. So if you have an agent that knows what he's doing, knows how to deal with tenants, knows the landlord-tenant laws, is familiar with the eviction process, is familiar with what needs to be done to places, what type of rehab needs to be done for a rental opposed to a flip, that goes a long way in regards to, helping you get started in the real estate investing endeavor and hopefully help you minimize the mistakes that you're going to make.
Right. You know what? It's interesting you mentioned that. So you mentioned clients. So I'm guessing you don't just use your license for yourself. You're using your license to serve others. Is that correct?
Yes, I work with both homeowners as well as investors.
Wow.
And in my opinion, I think everyone should at least have one piece of real estate as investment property.
Yeah,
I really do, because it's such a strong leveraging tool. And even if you have a bunch of stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all that stuff, that's great. But you should add real estate to that portfolio as well.
Absolutely.
I just think how much I really believe in it.
Well, let me ask you this, a couple questions. Let's talk about your license for a second, and I'll throw them out there and you can just kind of go at them as makes sense. But like, when did you get your license? Did you get it initially just for yourself? Did it help you invest? But then more importantly now, like what you're describing, I call an investor agent. I'm one too. And I've trained thousands of agents all over the US and Canada how to be investor agents because of the specific something you just mentioned a moment ago, which is it's a critical member of your team. So many investors struggle because they're just trying to use their neighbor's nephew's boyfriend or just got his license, thinking, well, he got his license, he's pretty good. No. There's having somebody have a license just means they passed the test and they know some law. They don't know anything about marketing and analysis. And again, sorry to ramble, you just kind of touched the spot for me that's really near and dear to my heart. So elaborate on that use of your license. And by the way, I'm the kind of, I know we're recording this, but before we're done, dude, you should give people your email address and then if you have a contact number, because I think people want to work with people like you who know what the heck they're doing, So you should just elaborate on a little bit your license, when you got it, did you get it for yourself? Did it help you? And you're using it for others now, sort of open up another income stream for you, right?
Yeah, I tell everyone that I'm a real estate agent by accident. That was never my intention or my lifelong goal or ambition. I started investing in '99, and I had bought and sold a number of properties by over the course of the next several years. And when you have rentals, everyone says, "Oh, I don't want to own rentals. It's the tenants; they're terrible." And that's not the case. My two biggest problem areas weren't the tenants. It was contractors and real estate agents.
Yeah.
Over the course of that 6-year period, I think I fired between 5 and 6 real estate agents. I got tired of them not doing what I was asking them to do. I got tired of feeling like I was someone they didn't want to deal with, unimportant, and just frustrated. And so finally, I said, to hell with it. I'm going to get my license. And in 2006, I got my license. And initially, it was just for the deals that I was doing, the properties that I was buying and selling and so forth. And then just over time, someone said, would say, "Hey, Vince, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that?" And it just started to expand and grow. And so now I work with a lot of investors and I also work with homeowners. And if you think about this too, from that perspective, you figure out how many deals I've negotiated, especially my own deals, and I understand how to negotiate a good deal. So wouldn't you want someone like that working for you opposed to someone who does it part-time or during the summer while they're not teaching class? It's Gary, you're right. The real estate agent is a very important part of someone's team. And people don't put enough thought in this. And it is critical. You got to have someone that's willing to negotiate, someone that can analyze a property, someone who understands what they are doing. It's not just about passing a test or completing paperwork. There's much more involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, famous saying, who would you rather work with when it comes to real estate investing? Somebody that's just can maybe help you buy and sell your own home you live in and point out the pretty carpet and the fancy chandeliers, or somebody who actually makes their living in investing in real estate doing the exact thing you want to do?
No, I agree. I agree.
Gary Wilson here. I just wanted to let you guys know, remind you that we do have our very next 3-day event coming up April 5th, 6th, and 7th at the Anaheim Marriott, right outside the gates of world-famous Disneyland, located at 700 West Convention Way, of course, in Anaheim, zip code 92082. Okay, you can go to myinvestmentservices.com, look for the information on the event. Also, you can contact us, support at myinvestmentservices.com, or call 1-800-931-2605. So this is for you. Whether you're a chiropractor, dentist, teacher, fireman, policeman, pilot, military, engineer, this is designed to bring you together to talk about investing the right way. So what this is not the no money down owner financing stuff. Okay, I'll show you how to invest if you don't have a lot of cash right now or no cash. Okay, we just do it differently. We don't put you at risk by doing hard money loans, borrowing against other people. at 10, 12, 15% with lots of points that chew up all your equity and cash flow. We actually show you how to leverage what you've already got and borrow against yourself. You probably have more than you actually realize even you have, especially if you have your own practice or your own business, okay? And by the way, the cool thing about this is you're going to meet the people you need to meet to support you. I've trained over 20,000 investors and agents around the U.S. and Canada last several years. And at the event, there'll be a lot of agents there right here in your area in Southern California that I personally train to work with us, to work with you and me on investing. These are not regular realtors. They're certified. They work specifically with us, flipping homes and buying fourplexes and stuff like that. So come and connect with them, get the tools, you get the strategies, you get everything you need, okay, so that you can succeed. So this is designed specifically for you. It's not for everybody. That's why we narrow down the target audience just for you and others just like you. So welcome aboard. Look forward to seeing you there. Reach out, contact us, grab yourself a spot. There's some specials going on. I've got an agent right now meeting with chiropractors at the local association dinners, for example. So come on aboard, come join the community, bring your children, let them go to Disneyland on Sunday. We're done a half a day on Sunday anyways. You can join them and enjoy the rest of the day there. So God bless you. We'll see you there. Bye-bye. Hey, let's talk about time frame. So I know a lot of investors have this limiting belief, well, I'll wait till the economy drops down. I'll swoop in and pick up all those properties at cheap prices and all that kind of stuff. And it looks good on paper, but man, Vince, I've been investing for 33 years. Wait a minute, what's this, 2018? Good Lord, it's a long time, 34 years. Wow. And what I found, no. I tell you, I've never stopped investing. I found out I didn't really care what the economy was doing. I just wanted to know what it was doing, so I knew what to do within that construct. But tell me a little bit about, for you, what does that mean to you, like time frame? And did you change strategies? Like, were you growing more rapidly? Were you shrinking? Tell a little bit about timing and time frame and how that has affected your investing. For me, any time to buy a piece of real estate was a good time, because you make your money when you buy, so you have to buy it right. So it doesn't matter to me, it didn't matter what the economy was doing. The only thing that I took into consideration was when the interest rates were extremely low and people were getting 110% financing on their homes. Yeah, you were losing more renters, but still in this market in Pittsburgh and southwestern Pennsylvania, there were still more than enough renters out there. But what I did at that point in time, I said, okay, I'm not going to buy any more rentals during the next year. I'm going to focus on flips. And so for me, I was going through the path of least resistance. And in my mind, I bought homes and sold them extremely quickly, in the Pittsburgh market because of that. And then when, the interest rates started to rise and things started to slow down back to normal, I went to buying rentals back again. Yeah. So, and it was something that, so for me, it was always a good time to buy. It's just depending upon what the market was doing was what type of property I was going to buy. Yeah. If that makes sense. It does. And the thing is there's so much data available. And so for me, it's all about education, information, and taking action. So, get the education, like you said, line yourself up with a good investor agent. Gather the information, because it's virtually all free now, and it's your fingertips on the internet, and let the data drive your decision making as far as, what do you actually buy at that point? Or it could be a great time for flipping, could be a great time to buy rentals. Always a good time to buy rentals, but so that's why I like the rentals. Flipping is always more speculative. It's definitely a timing thing, but I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's pretty awesome stuff. If you don't mind me asking, like a how question, like, is there a strategy you found for yourself that was like, you use the strategy, it's like a football team has a favorite play that works every time kind of thing? I know I've got one. It sounds like we have the same one. I mean, there's several dozens of strategies, but if you don't mind, share a little bit about a how, or give a how story so that the folks listening can kind of start to put the pieces of this puzzle together, For me, I think the biggest part of my success was having a solid team underneath me. And I mean a solid team in a sense that I had good contractors, I had good electricians, I had good plumbers, I had a good carpet guy. I had, various times I had good real estate agents and then they went bad, but
I had my own license, so I was very, I could rely on myself. So, and, for me, it was about having a good team, bankers, insurance people. So once you have that team, it made everything else relatively easy, because my goal was to not create a second job for me. I didn't want another job. I already had a career at a bank. I wasn't looking to, to add more work. I had a young family. I wanted to spend more time with my family.
Yeah.
So I needed to set things up in place. It's funny because people would ask me, "Oh, you mean you don't know how to fix this?" Well, no, I didn't want to go fix it.
Yeah.
I don't want to learn how to do that. That's why I have contractors. It's a phone call. Hey, this broke, go fix it.
Right.
That was the extent of my involvement in it. So for me, I think the key to the success of me being able to do what I was able to do was having that solid team underneath me that, worked good for me, and I worked good with them. And then just, finding the properties, just using a good real estate agent that understands what they're doing, understands the investing world, and being able to analyze the properties. And I think those are just the key elements.
Yeah. Well, so I'm so glad you mentioned team. I wasn't even anticipating that, Vince, to be honest with you. But the thing is, that's one of I call them the 8 core principles in real estate and successful real estate investing, or pillars, 8 core pillars. And one of them is building a team. I mean, you mentioned earlier, my biggest challenges always were the contractors, followed by the realtors. And so I always had a handful of contractors I could rely on. Not to price them against each other, but sometimes one's busy and the other one's free, and sometimes one has an idea that's better than the other guy's idea. But getting to know the inspectors from the municipalities, getting to know the appraisers, getting to know the lenders. I always had 4 or 5 lenders I could work with at any given time. But that team, I mean, it's like the picture of a iceberg in the water. People see only the top of the iceberg and say, "What a beautiful iceberg." They don't see the other 90% below the water. That's the team that makes the top of the iceberg stick out and shine. So, man, that to me was a building process over time, and one I constantly had to work on. Just make sure I'm always keeping good people around me. That's such a critical thing. Okay. I got a big question for you. This is sort of one that's sometimes a little personal for some people, but I want to know why it is you do what you do. And I'll just preface it by saying a lot of people ask that question is they'll say, "Well, I want more money." And I get it, because they come to me to teach them how to make money, and that's the common denominator. But there's usually something behind that. Like, we want money for a reason. Money is simply an instrument. It's a medium of exchange. Well, what are you exchanging it for? And sometimes like build an in-law suite for my mom who's getting elderly. Sometimes put my kids through college, whatever it is. And I've been blessed enough to meet some of your family before, your wife and children in the past, and awesome family. You've done an awesome job being a great dad, but that may or may not be your why. So if you don't mind sharing a little personal information, the reason it's important is I think when people connect with that, it gives them that they can see a little bit of them in you, and they can see that they can take that next step. That's why I love this part of the interview.
Originally it was money. I wanted more time. I wanted more money. I remember there was a time that I was in the banking industry, and the bank wasn't doing as well as everyone was expecting, and so we went a couple years without pay raises, and I was so mad. Thinking, well, that's not fair. They're getting the executives are getting their stock options, their stock bonuses, and the guys down below that are doing all the hard work, you're not going to give them a 4% pay raise. and I clicked in my head. I said, "The hell with it. I'm going to buy 2 more houses. I'll give myself a pay raise." So it's just about taking control of your own financial situation, and that was a big piece of it. And the other part of it, to be honest with you, it's just I have a passion for real estate. So it's, I think if you have a passion for something that you're doing, and the money is just kind of a bonus.
Yeah.
So initially it was, more money, more time, more freedom, and just taking control of my financial future.
Yeah. Yeah. You actually mentioned something, a key word, control. Control for me is sort of goes hand in hand with freedom. The more in control you are of your finances and your life, the more personal freedom you're going to have, So, well, that's pretty cool stuff, man. And I will tell you this, I know we're just you and I on this together live. It's being recorded, but a lot of people are going to watch this or listen to it. Excuse me. And I got a pretty good feeling they're going to be appreciative too, because you're a regular guy. You're I like to call myself. I call myself. I'm just an ordinary person. I'm no better than anybody else as far as level of intelligence or education. Or wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. But you and I both have done some pretty extraordinary things. And I just want people to recognize that as we all start off with the same number of bones, muscles, everything. And, the difference is he who takes action gets results. And brother, you have definitely taken some action. And I'm glad to be able to witness some of that over the years. And I appreciate you being on here. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom? Like if you were, let's say you were somebody listening to this and they're in their 20s and they're a brand new chiropractor trying to start a practice. And here comes Vince with 20 years experience investing and probably 10 or 15 in brokerage or the roles reverse, excuse me. What was you
20 years? Yeah, 20 years investing and 12 years as a realtor.
Yeah. What would you, if I passed you on the street and I said, hey man, I think I heard you on a podcast, what's one or two or three things you think had the biggest impact on you being successful?
It's just, it's perseverance and drive, to be honest with you. Yeah. I made a lot of mistakes very early on doing this because I didn't have someone, to teach me or mentor me or coach me. So I had to learn the hard way, by my own mistakes. Right. And sure enough, the first house I bought in a war zone. I bought a 2-bedroom house, which I tell people not to do. I didn't adequately screen my tenants. So I tell people, make sure you screen your tenants.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I ended up evicting them. And I remember standing outside that house after they were evicted, so angry, thinking that, other people make money doing this. Why can't I? Right. And for a split second there, I wanted to quit. My thought went through my head, I'm just going to call quits. I'll lose the $20,000 I put into the house and I'll just pay it off for the next several years and I'll forget about this crazy dream I had. And then something just said, hell no. I put gloves on, went back in that house. I cleaned it out, painted it, and I had it rented for 5 or 6 years before I sold it for a profit. So for me, it's just, all through life, you're going to have challenges, and no matter what you do, whether it's at work, whether it's in your home, if you're going to be successful, you have to stick through it and you have to deal with certain issues and certain things that come across and come in your path. And it's just, but for me, it was just perseverance. Don't give up. If you want this, fight for it. And I did. I ended up owning 147 rental units. I was almost $5 million worth of real estate. I was generating $720,000 a year in gross annual rental revenue. Not too many people can say they do that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that's and it all started with the $20,000 check line of credit that I had. One single family home.
Yeah.
So it's doable because I did it. You did it. You've owned even more properties than me. So it is possible. It's decisions that we make and the actions that we take when we're confronted with a challenge.
Yeah. I tell you what, you hit some key words there, man. Persistence. And there was a famous speech from, not even a real speech he was made. It was Denzel Washington was speaking to a group of film and, students basically in the filming industry. And he told him, he said the keys were persistence and consistency. Being persistent, being consistent. And you hit on another one, which is, sometimes you gotta reach down inside and get that fire going inside of you and get mad, get pissed off and say, I'm not taking this crap anymore. This is going to work and I'm going to make it work. I'm going to figure out how. And that's exactly what that people, I tell you, I've seen more success from people who at that critical juncture chose to move forward as opposed to drop back and retreat. When you quit, success is not going to happen. 100%.
I mean, that's a good point here. What a lot of people don't realize They look at someone that has a lot of money, that's obtained a lot of success, and they just see him at that stage.
Yep.
They don't realize all the struggles and everything that they went through, or maybe the countless times that they almost didn't make it.
Yep.
They just see the end result.
Yeah.
So you need to understand that, no matter what you do, you're going to come into challenges and obstacles, and it's how you react to those obstacles and challenges that are going to determine the outcome of the rest of your life.
Yep. Amen, brother. Yep. And it's amazing too how sometimes the greatest successes, like the greatest gains, were always at that point when someone was at the lowest point, ready to give up, and something they found inside of them, that deep well of strength, was like, you know what? I'm awake. I'm walking, talking, breathing, thinking. I got one more move left in me, and damn it, that's not the one that gets them over the hurdle, and the rest is history.
Yep.
So, hey, listen, Vince, I got to run. I got another call coming in, but I appreciate you doing this, dude. I think it came out at the end there. I think people are going to get a lot out of this, and I appreciate you doing this. I hope this helps you too. And I'm going to, I know this is being recorded, but I'm going to, if you don't mind, Vince, I'm going to call you later on tonight just to update you on a few things that have happened.
Okay.
Keep you up to date on that. But thanks again, dude. I appreciate this. If anything I can do for you too, obviously let me know,
Yeah. Do you need my contact information, Gary, or?
Oh, hey, you know what, Vince? Yeah, good idea. If you're serving clients, I didn't realize that how much you were doing that. Go ahead and share your contact information now, and it'll go out. Everybody will hear what you're going to tell them. And I know if I was living in somewhere like New York or somewhere in Canada, and I wanted to invest in the States, Pittsburgh's a place to be. And if I got a guy like you, that's what I'm calling, Yeah,
sure, no problem. There's two ways to reach me. One is my cell phone, which is 724-612-3770. The other one is my email, which is Vince Parrucci, which is P as in Paul, ARRUCCI, at P as in Tom, P as in Paul, R as in Realtor, sold.com. So it's Vince Parrucci at pprsold.com. Awesome.
Well, thanks again, Vince. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime in the near future. And maybe we'll do another one of these down the week. Maybe we can pick a specific subject.
Okay, sounds good.
Your heart, we can kind of dwell on that more, greater level of detail or something. But in the meantime, hope you have an awesome day, and let's make sure 2019 is awesome for you and me and everybody else.
All right, thank you, Gary.
Yep. Take care, Vince.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. Be sure to go to myinvestmentservices.com to join our community and start building wealth today.